Hi, so in this video I'm going to dissect a short narrative film that I scored late last year. The film is about a man and a woman who both struggle from depression, and it's a side-by-side shot of their days and how they start out. And as the score develops and the piece develops, the music starts to kind of take over as the voices start to take over in their heads, and it builds to a climactic point and to a cutoff. So the reason I chose this video is because I wanted to showcase the importance of building and tension and release. So now we're going to take a look at the score, and I hope you guys enjoy. So like I said, this piece is very textural oriented. It actually starts out with the sound of the ceiling fan, and that's a creative choice from the director. And I'm just going to kind of play through some of these little sounds right now. So I created some different noises from my MS-20. So essentially it's just a noise generator on my synthesizer. You can do this with any synthetic synth as well. I just chose to use an analog synth for it. And I've got it EQ'd. So here's what it sounds like. Without the EQ, there's some hiss in the 5K range, so I have to EQ it every single time. So that's one of the sounds. Another noise, I have multiple noises. So this is a lower pitched noise. So that's what it sounds like. It literally just sounds like an air conditioning unit to kind of add to the ceiling fan. The other thing that it's kind of carrying, this kind of starting us tonally in our key center, is this bass line. And it starts off super soft. And if you notice, if you can hear it, it's what's called microtonal, so it plays in between notes. So I'm literally turning the oscillator, the pitch, slightly up and down as I'm tracking the piece. And so there's the bass line, and then the other cool thing that I have here, pardon the mess of my timeline, is a couple sounds that from analog strings. So it's a virtual instrument, and this is what it looks like if it'll load. So this is the engine for that. So I kind of manipulated it. You can tack delay, all that stuff. So it's more of a drone. And the other piece that's kind of moving is another analog string sound. It's this cool kind of reverse texture sound. And that's kind of more of like our percussive element. So we've got our noises, we've got our bass line, and we've got this pad right here, which is from a CS80 plugin by Arturia. And that looks like this. It's a really cool little plugin. It emulates the Vangelis' synth, essentially, from Blade Runner. It's used on a lot of stuff, but that's kind of what it's really known for. As you notice, the piece is really just kind of building. Close the screen a little bit, make it a little smaller. And this really just kind of developing slowly. And if you can tell, these automations here are getting just a little bigger every single time. And we're building to the shower sequence where she sits in the shower crying. The voices are starting to take over in their heads a little more and more. So as the voices are taking over, the music's actually picking up and carrying the piece. So it's a pretty quick rise here. So you hear a little more microtonal bends. And we have essentially one noise that has just a reverb that I turned up at the very end that's carrying us over this whole section right here of her monologue. So, like I said, we're just slowly building pieces. When it comes to textural works like this, it's not so much about the amount of instruments you use, it's the placement of them. So you notice it was very slow building. It honestly, the synthesizers at the very beginning of this piece coincide with the natural foley of the ceiling fan. And I really wanted the score to kind of be a cohesive fit with the audio. We build to this, the precipice of this cue is this section right here. So we started introducing these little risers that kind of go up and down, and I manipulated the rise and fall in my automations. And then this effect right here is kind of the similar effect, but it's with a pad now as opposed to one. And it doesn't come in until right here, if you can tell. So it's triggered, but the volume's down. And that's where that reverb kicks in. That nice reverb tail. And then the other thing that I added was this little riser. Everything else in this last section is a hard stop, except for this butterfly effect plugin. That's a tongue twister. Notice, no noise. It's literally just silence. And I really wanted the silence to really be impactful in this part, because it's the most vulnerable state for this character, and I really wanted the score to reflect that. So if you can tell, it's all about, like I said, orchestration of the layers as well as the sonic spectrum. So there's a lot of low end from the bass, there's a lot of noise in the lower mid frequencies and the upper frequencies that I've shelved out, that I've EQ'd out. And then there's these really high-pitched kind of rhythmic sounds with this VST synth. And then we have these risers and these kind of really big upper frequency regions coming in at the end, and then they're all raising up to the stop. What that does is that helps build that impact and create that tension point for the story. So I hope you guys enjoyed these videos. There's a link above to previous videos in case you've missed some. And comment below. Talk about, what instruments you like to use for your scores, or what you'd like to see for the next video. In the meantime, please subscribe, ring the bell, and I'll see you all next week.